Hello guys, it's Retro Nubs and my buddy,
your boy
here. We're doing a video on the GameCube controller.
Yes.
Now the GameCube controller is a really iconic, old school, old gen game console controller that I grew up with and he might have grown up with differently. And everybody has their opinion on it, and so today's video I want to share mine and our opinion about the GameCube controller. Starting off, growing up with this GameCube controller. So I grew up with the GameCube, the Xbox, and not a lot of PlayStation, but mostly GameCube, and I can say for a fact that this was like everything to me. Like, it just kind of felt right to me holding it. And nowadays it might be a lot different, because sure, the GameCube controller isn't the perfect controller, but to me, I find it pretty easy and simple to use. But a lot of modern games, because of the button placements, and compared to like maybe the Switch, how this is compared to this, like, it just takes a lot to get used to when jumping from console to console like that. Such as like simple, even the old retro Mario games that are on the Switch now, because all the buttons are like kind of different. Like maybe these are jumps or attack or jump. Kind of gets used to, because you have to claw when you're playing regular games. And for me growing up, I played a lot of Smash Bros. And I have a handful of GameCube games that I grew up with playing, and it was just fair enough. It was pretty smooth. Unlike maybe the N64 remote, which a lot of people didn't like either. They grew up with this, playing games like this and trying to hold it as such. It's just kind of weird at the time, because you had to hold it like this. You didn't hold it like this because you have the control stick down here, and you had to play it like this. So you have any comments on growing up with GameCube controller?
For me, I didn't really grow up with GameCube. I was more of a Xbox and PlayStation kid. I ended up getting like a fat PS2 when I was younger, and I mainly played a lot of PS1 games on it. I did also have a PS1, but I mainly played them on the PS2 until it died. And then I got a hand-me-down Xbox, and I played the crap out of it. And I personally prefer the Xbox controller, because with the GameCube controller, the thing that I don't like about it is the face button layout. It's a very, very different layout compared to like PlayStation or Xbox, where it's a very common, like almost cross pattern. It was just a very common face button pattern for it, whereas with GameCube, they decided to give you like one big button, a little itty bitty button, and two beams for buttons. And it's like, okay, and they're just in really weird places. I will say it is a very nice and comfy controller. The triggers on it are also very nice and clicky. I don't really like the Z button. It's a really weird, hard button. The D-pad is very tiny. It's made for ants. The C stick, that's also made for like little goblins, because like you can easily just slide your thumb off of it. And I don't know if this is an issue with original GameCube controllers or only aftermarket ones, but I have seen a lot of them where the actual little thumbstick rubber part just straight up just disappears, and it's just plastic. And with heavy use and all that, next you know, if you're playing for a long time, your fingers, like thumbs, will start to slip off of it, and that'll get annoying. But they did nail it for comfortability. It is a very comfy controller, but yeah, it's just a weird layout. I just dropped it because I'm an idiot, but the stick layout is nice because it's just like Xbox. The thing I don't like about DualShocks is how the thumbsticks are close to each other, and where you go to move them, you end up hitting your thumbs all the time. But with like Xbox and GameCube, they're far enough away from each other that you don't have to worry about that. So that really my opinion on it. I still like it, but the first time I used one was a few years ago when I somehow discovered that you could play Wii games with GameCube controllers. Because as a kid, I was kind of stupid, so I didn't know what a GameCube was, and I didn't know what the ports on top of my Wii were. I just thought they were like weird expansion slots or something like that, and I didn't mess with them. But it wasn't until later where it's like, wow, I can play these games so much easier with a GameCube controller, but it's also hard because of the face buttons.
Well, I wanted to comment about that too. Like, for me, like I learned that you could play GameCube like really quickly on Wii. Like the GameCube controller, the GameCube games, and on some of the Wii games such as Smash Melee, or not Smash Melee, Smash Brawl, you could play with the GameCube controller. There was other games on there too, but like some ported games that you couldn't, such as the Pikmin 2 game, and I think some Paper Mario games, and so there's like a variety because you needed those extra buttons off of the Wiimote and some of the shake mechanics to play it. I think you could play the GameCube controller with Super Mario Wii, but other than that, like I said again, for me it was like a really amazing experience, like able to play this, because a lot of people weren't really like happy about how the layout and how the Wii worked, because you had the whole motion and then you had to like try to aim it towards the sensor bar, which it takes time, and you'd have to find a really good comfortable position and seating to where your arm's not going to get so tired as trying to hold it and try to like lean back and aim at the TV while trying to also seriously game. And for me it wasn't too big of a deal at the time, but I'd always, if I could find a game that was compatible with the GameCube controller, I'd pretty much pick the GameCube controller almost always, because it was just simpler at the time. And later on in life, like when the Wii U came out, like I said, I heavily really liked playing Smash Bros. So when the Wii U dropped the new Smash Bros on there, and initially there was no slots in to like plug in controllers like the GameCube controllers, but they released adapters. Some people started releasing adapters for it, and it worked fine, and it like connected and played pretty good. And even to now for the Switch, sure, Nintendo did finally start releasing some like Pro controllers and some like original GameCube controllers too, but like for a long time they didn't. And a lot of people that played heavily competitively or semi-casually really like still, you know, they're comfortable with GameCube controller because of Melee. Melee was so competitive, and a lot of people still played it at the time heavily. And even to play it on Brawl, people still played heavily with the GameCube controller. And for me, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's because I grew up with it, I find myself more comfortable using it. And I noticed people like, they have a lot of mixed opinions about the controllers for Switch and GameCube as far as like what's better. Some people like the Pro controllers. A lot of people are like have mixed opinions about the Joy-Cons, because for instance, when you take them off and you're playing like this all the time, it kind of like, it takes a lot to get used to, especially with the tiny buttons. A lot of people don't like these little buttons. And for two players on a single console, when you have to play like this, they're even tinier. It's a smaller control stick, smaller these bumpers. So like I said,
you also can't forget about the drift issue, because that's another thing with Joy-Cons. They'll drift also.
So about the drift sucks. So when like the Joy-Cons are still heavily new, and being like a Bluetooth-esque like device, having to need the dock nearby just to sync with it, well, the console, so you know where to like control it, it'll start drifting on its own, or like have delayed buttons, because it's, you know, Nintendo wasn't too good with their consoles like that. Like the drift issue was just so bad. Like I remember my Joy-Cons messing up like that, and I didn't feel like sending them in because I wanted to just play immediately. So I started getting me some like some Pro controllers, because the Pro controllers, they were in the console and they wouldn't drift. They just, you know, but because I also played Smash Bros heavily, they'd eventually mess up. So there's that. But that's why I try to look for some original GameCube controllers because they last a lot longer. Because I used to go through so many controllers, especially the cheap knockoff ones, because of course they were cheaper. But then now GameCube controllers skyrocketed in price, like original ones, because of Smash Bros. And also for collectors, the price just keep going up. Like you can find yourself a good one for like around 60 or 70, and that's the same price as as Joy-Cons or Xbox One controllers,
or even a new game,
a new game for that. So it's kind of tough, but you have to find that good balance. And the Pro controllers for Switch is pretty good. Okay, you can go.
And another thing with GameCube controllers, Nintendo did re-release them when Smash for Wii U came out, as well as the little adapter. And then when Smash Ultimate came out for Switch, they re-released those again too. But if you can't find those, probably one of the more common ones you're going to find are going to be these at-play ones. You can find them either at like a GameStop or even like a retro game store or even Walmart. I believe they also, at Walmart, you could still get just like somewhat like Nintendo Switch branded GameCube controllers. There are also one style of GameCube controllers that we don't have here that are like GameCube Pro controllers for the Switch. And they're wireless controllers just like the Pro controller, where they added like an extra Z button on top on the other side and all that, and made it to where the thumbsticks could click because the GameCube didn't have that. So it was in the exact same style as the GameCube controller, but it was more or less a Pro controller. And that kind of shows that Nintendo has listened to a lot of the fans over the years, and Nintendo does know that the fans really love the GameCube controller, so they've re-released it several times. Which is really cool that they did that, but there are a bunch of third-party ones out there as well.
Yeah. So anyways, we were just going to give like a good brief about our thoughts on the GameCube controller. And if you guys want to continue the discussion, leave a comment in the video. Definitely leave a like, and if you want another video related to GameCube controllers or something similar, just let us know in the comment section. I'll leave a link down in the description for my buddy's channel too if you want to check his video out. But other than that, keep it cool, and Wario will eat your coins. Bye.